Hey, what is up, guys? It is I, Ben Morrison. I know it's been a while. Thank you very much. And I've scaled down the production a little bit, and I think I'm going to keep doing that because that way I can actually be sure I can get the videos out. Because doing all the production was time-consuming, and I got a lot of shit to do. So anyway, I hope you don't mind, but you're still going to get me rambling on about vaporizer stuff. So today we're going to review the Juul by PAX, which is kind of if a cigalite fucked a thumb drive, that's what you get. Now, I know what you're thinking, cigalite, why would I even give a shit about a cig alike? I thought the whole point was to be less alike cigs. And I can tell you, this is not a cloud blowing machine. It's more like a robot dog's dick, but a really sleek robot dog's dick. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I love putting this robot dog dick in my mouth. There are a number of reasons I really like the Juul. I like the Juul because I have found, and I've been using this for probably about 2-3 weeks at this point, that it's a really great complement to my normal vape. In fact, since getting the Juul, I tend to have both of them with me at all times. This one is in my bag or whatever for massive chucking of said cloud tits. And this one, I can actually fit into a pants pocket. And I find myself using it pretty frequently because the way the Juul works is they have these vapor pods which hold just under a milliliter of juice. The juice itself is very strong. It's not like a 5 nicotine level. It's basically like a 50 nicotine level, and the idea is it simulates the throat hit of a cigarette that you're supposedly transitioning away from. And it does pack quite a punch. You get a really nice throat hit, and as such, you find yourself not needing to blow sick-ass clouds. The pods themselves come in 4 different flavors. The Juul box comes like this. It's a very small box. The e-cig is in the case here. This is the charger. It's a very simple USB charger. There's a magnetic bottom. You pop it in, sit the Juul in it, like so. Magnet works quite well, as you can see. And it charges pretty quickly. I'd say in about an hour. And I'm looking at this for the people who watch this channel, who are not looking for a primary vape. Although, if you have friends who are cigarette smokers and really just don't like the whole vapiness of vaping, I would highly recommend you send them the way of the Juul. Because if they're thinking about starting vaping and they're going to go to like a blue or a what's the new one from Philip Morris? The shitty cigarette imitation, I believe, is the new one. Send them the Juul's way, because it will simulate a lot of what they're used to from the cigarette experience, from the size, the way they hold it, and the punch that the vapor cartridges play. And in fact, I think this little guy has an important role to play in the future of vaping, because while I don't necessarily need more cigalike vapes, what PAX is doing, and this is made by PAX, the company that we all know from their dry tobacco product vaporizers, is the amount of innovation that went into this. They looked at what is really half of the vaping market, like it or not, is those fucking cigalikes, and said these are horrible. Let's innovate on that side for those people. And they did a phenomenal job of it. In fact, I'd go so far as to say is I think the Juul honestly reminds me of why I started vaping in the first place. It's for nicotine, and the hand-mouth fixation thing. I always want to put things in my mouth. And this one's easy. Doesn't blow clouds. You get an acceptable amount of vapor, more than what I'd say you get from a blue. But it's tiny, and I like to play with it. My OCD hands like to play with it. And I found myself vaping, like, in situations where I shouldn't be vaping, indoors, because if you cover the light with your finger and just hold it in, you can kind of ghost it, like I just did. Get nicotine wherever the fuck you are. I know I shouldn't be saying this, but I've done this in movie theaters, wherever. And as long as you're blowing zero clouds, who the fuck cares? Am I right? Let's talk about the pods. This is where PAX is going to make their money. And probably my only gripe with this is the pod situation. I go through them pretty quickly. I kill one in under a day. Which is fine. I mean, that's only up to my own... That's because of my obsessive vaping. But the pods, which come in 4 flavors, those flavors are... Well, I think I've actually burned through all the pods, so I'll just tell you. There's a tobacco flavor, which is quite good, if you like tobacco flavors. I don't even really like tobacco flavors that much, but this one is probably one of the more convincing ones I've tried. There's like a mentholy mint, which is pretty fucking minty, which is also good, if you like mint. There's kind of a fruity flavor, which didn't knock my socks off. You can definitely taste the fruit, but I think because the throat hit is so punchy on this, the fruit gets a little drowned out by the throat hit. But again, the throat hit's quite nice. And then there's the final one, which is easily my favorite, which is the creme brulee flavor, kind of a vanilla creme brulee. And I actually asked PAX to send me a pack of those because I knew I'd burned through them, having tried this before I reviewed it, and I burned through those pretty quickly as well. That one's good. I like the flavor of that one. Now the pods themselves are using a different technique for the e-juice. I believe they're saying it's made from nicotine salt or some shit, but it definitely feels a little different. I don't know, how do I say it? A little more of an airy hit, and you really get that. Oh shit. Here's the thing, the pods are expensive. I think they're pricier than they really need to be. Right now, a pack of 4 is $15, which is $5 more than I think they should charge, because they're not expensive to make. It's under a milliliter of juice. And like I said, you're not going to go through it nearly as fast because you're not just blowing gigantic clouds. You're not X-Cube 2ing this mofo. Look at this. David and Goliath. If they were $10 for a pack of 4, I could see that. Whereas, I could see myself buying a couple packs of 4 and just having them at $30. That's too much. That's more than I can see myself buying. Then again, for someone who's transitioning off of cigarettes, if you're talking in terms of pack a day versus Juul pod a day, I guess it's still cheaper, but it's kind of unnecessary. To answer the question that some of you are wondering, you can refill the pods. They're pretty easy to get apart, and I have tried it. However, the experience is not as enjoyable as it is with the e-juice they're giving you. There's just something about the way they've formulated the nicotine in here that it's a much more natural throat hit. Again, I don't know what they did. I think if you don't care as much about it, you could just mix up a batch. You probably need to DIY your own to get as much nicotine in the throat hit as you would in this, but I don't know if the experience is as pleasurable as it is from the pods. So, good job, PAX, making a closed system. But again, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be very honest here. I really like this thing. It's the closest thing I've found in all of vaping, frankly, to replacing the feel, the size, the usage of the stinkies. I think they've done a really good job. You can get the starter kit, which includes the charger and the packs and 4 pods for about $50. Again, a little pricier, but you know, you're also kind of, you know, they're appling you a little bit in that you're paying for the design and the premium look and feel, and it does feel quite premium. So in that regard, I'd also say it's worth it. It's worth it if you're a vapor like me and you have like a million different units and you really just want to get your hands on something different that also involves vaping. That is actually pretty goddamn portable, man. You know, if I want to go out for a night, I could literally just take my phone and this, make sure it's charged, get a full pod, and I could be pretty happy, honestly. You know, vaping isn't necessarily about the biggest and baddest cloud-blowing machine or temperature control. I think it's just about replacing cigarettes and making sure you stay off cigarettes. And PAX looked at the market and said, we're not going to compete with the big, gigantic pieces of hardware. We're going to go after the blues and the Mark 9s and the crappy, tiny battery fuck your throat brand, I think, that Lorillard just put out. I think that's the name of it. So I endorse, man. I enjoy using it. And I think if you know what you're getting into and you get into it for the reason of getting something this size that feels like a cigarette, you'll be very happy with your purchase. So that is it. Thanks again for watching. I am Ben Morrison of The Drip Tip, and remember, if your tip ain't dripping, you tripping.